All right, part three. We're talking about the third night. The third night, my son was too cold and peed through his clothes and was crying. And when you're doing this method, you don't check in on him. So I didn't know that. And about half an hour into it, his legs were stuck in the rails again, and he was sleeping though. So I was really upset with myself about that too, because he had been cold and again stuck through the railings, and my husband and I were really livid. The fourth night we got a crib bumper. And the second night, so the first night he cried for 99 minutes. The second night he cried for an hour. The third night he cried for 45 minutes. The 99, 1, 45. The fourth night he cried for 30 minutes, but everything was perfect. So we had cloth diapered him and a double diaper at night to make sure he could wet as much as he wanted to without needing to wake up or not going through his clothes. The crib thing was there. And between the times he went to bed, so let's say around 8 o'clock until about 8:30 the next morning, he did wake up at 12 a.m. for a feeding, and he woke up at 4 a.m. for a feeding. So he's still waking up twice a night. The fifth night, he went to bed in 12 minutes. We were very stunned. He had a few fussy moments a couple hours into sleeping, but for the most part, he figured it out on his own, and he slept. He slept from 7:30 until 1, wanted to eat, ate until 1:30, went back to sleep until 4:30, and then again woke up around 6:30. So he was sleeping at least 9 to 10 hours a night, so it wasn't complete sleep. Sorry, I have to turn on my computer because it's starting to turn off. I don't know, does anybody else have that update? It's weird. And then the sixth night, he cried for 20 minutes, kind of on off, so it wasn't really consecutive. It was like I'm sleeping, but I'm not really sleeping. And then he has been asleep. So that's kind of the 1 to 6 nights. The mistakes I have made are going into this without a crib bumper, going into this without correcting my temperature, going into this without having the proper clothes. And this sounds really, really basic, but these are my true mistakes that I've made. And so this is brought to me to my what you need. You need really warm fleecy or wool pajamas, because or you need a thermostat. We don't have one. See, we have these little heaters inside the wall, and they're really, really tiny, and this is a very old house, and so it heats up. Either it's burning hot or it's not. It's cold, and it's really hard to get to regulate the temperature. So if you have a thermostat, you might not need to get such warm pajamas. You also need an infrared camera. It's pitch black in there, and you probably can't see because my phone's not going to pick this up, but I can completely see my son right now in his crib. And so you're going to need an infrared camera. If you don't have an infrared camera, you could definitely use a baby monitor, as long as you never had trouble with them getting their limbs in and out of the railings. My son could turn over from back to front to back when he was 4 months old. We never really worried much about SIDS or other issues. SIDS could happen. Hopefully it never happens to us. But my son has a very strong neck. Since he was 2 months old, he's been able to hold up his neck on his own. Actually, like 1.5 months. And he's able to stand and almost keep balance, and he can sit almost completely on his own. So you just want to make sure that your crib is completely safe. You need warm sheets. You need overnight diapers, because you can't go in there and change their diapers unless they take a poop. And you need headphones, tea, definitely, because you need to block out. If your son or your daughter is fine, they're just crying because this is new to them, they don't know what they're doing, then you need to listen to some form of music with headphones, make tea. And what I ended up doing was, by the third night, I ended up getting all the ingredients to make my favorite dessert, and I would go into the kitchen with headphones, full blasting some Nicki Minaj, or something just mind numbing. And I made cinnamon rolls and chocolate chip cookies and, naughty things that kind of gave me a little bit of guilty pleasure. So you want to do something for yourself. Because this is going to be so difficult. I took a walk outside with my camera to just kind of just get myself out of the situation, because it's the worst thing you ever go through in your life. A lot of women on YouTube, they just be like, oh, they cried, but it was only for like this and it was so painful. No, I want you to know that this, like, I cried just as much as he cried. It was horrendous. It was so hard. I just wanted to go in there and pick him up so many times. You need a pro and con list, because if you don't have a pros and con list to look at, you will self-doubt yourself and you will not go through with it. And that's like on this article, that's like such a big point, is to not give up. So headphones, tea, make your favorite dessert. Make sure he's in pajamas that don't put his legs together. I don't know how old that needs to be, but when your baby starts to move around, they really do need freedom to move around, to get comfortable and to be able to move themselves back if they're not comfortable. You need a super dark room, and that was really, I didn't think my baby needed that, but he slept so much better with this super dark room. So I just ended up taking, and literally with a stapler, and I stapled up a little blanket, and then he had blinds, and then a curtain, a dark curtain, and so it is literally pitch black. You might need a white noise machine. I use a fan, not pointed at him, because he and we need to drown out each other's noises. So I need to drown out his noise, because a lot of times he wakes up, and if you look at the sleep pattern, they usually wake up every 2 hours naturally, but then they kind of figure out how to put themselves back to sleep. And they whimper, or they have bad dreams, or 100 other reasons why they make noise or move around, and you don't need to hear that. You need to tune them out, so for yourself. And then the same with them. So if you walk around their room, or if you're doing dishes or something loud that they could possibly hear you, it definitely drowns out the noise. So you need a white noise machine or something of that nature. Other things that you will need is a lot of willpower and support. I didn't have any support. Everybody was against me. Nobody supported me. Everybody thought he was too little. My doctor didn't support me. My husband was really upset when he had to listen to a cry when he was off one day. It was all on me. And if I had that support, it would have made a really, really big difference, because somebody could have been in my corner saying, you can do it, rather than saying, give up. Everybody told me to give up, and it made it so much harder for me to continue. And after the 5th night, so the 6th night, he still cried for 20 minutes. And I thought to myself, if this is just normal and he's always going to cry for 20 minutes before passing out, like, I give up. Like, I don't want him to cry for more than 5 minutes. Like, but you can't predict your child's readiness. I thought we could co-sleep, but co-sleep for us had a time limit. Now I sleep. It's taken me a while to get some sleep, because I've been so anxious and upset, especially when he was in the crib, stuck and crying for me, and I wasn't going in there. That was devastating for me. Him being cold and peeing on himself, that was devastating for me. But that was really my husband's fault. I'm not trying to place blame, but these are the mistakes I've had. Just being really honest. Now I usually go to bed at 12. I wake up at 4. I feed him till 4:30. I try to get to sleep by 5, and then usually get another 3 hours. It's a lot better than what it was. I feel like my son will sleep on his own throughout the whole night when he's ready. I definitely think that's a milestone. People said that babies sleep through the night as a milestone. I don't agree. I think that sometimes some babies can bring their sleeping problems all the way into toddlerhood and beyond. Would I do it again, having experienced it? I'm not sure, because the crying is the worst part, of course, but I'm really connected to my son, and I love that about him. And honestly, he didn't look at me in my face for the first 3 days. I'm not lying. Now he's well rested. He sleeps. I catch him before I need to do a part 4. Oh geez, I'm sorry.